You can improve your language skills a lot through focused listening practice, especially if you take notes on a few important points. But what does listening practice look like for business English learners? What notes should you take? What makes the practice focused? Keep watching, because here are 10 tips for improving your English level with effective listening practice. 1. Use podcasts with transcripts to prepare for important meetings or presentations. Listen to native speakers on podcasts beforehand. First, start listening without looking at the transcripts. If there are parts you don't understand, pause the recording. Start listening from the beginning while reading along with the transcript. Reading the transcript will help you understand the piece in more detail because we can sometimes miss certain parts when listening without reading. 2. Note and use new vocabulary when you practice listening. Write down at least 5 new words for each listening piece. You will remember them better if you also write down the sentence and podcast where you heard the word. This gives context, the situation in which a word was used, so you will remember the situation when you see the word. Then, use the 5 new words on your own. This is a very important step that you shouldn't skip. You can try this trick. First, include the new words in your own sentences by writing, and then use them when you speak. The writing practice will help you get used to the new words and really learn them. What can you write? You could write a quick paragraph summary of the podcast, draw a mind map, or even create your own sentences. 3. Write down longer sentences. You can improve your grammar a lot if you become more confident with longer sentences. English learners usually make grammar mistakes when it comes to forming complex sentences. So, whenever you hear a longer sentence while listening, pause the recording as many times as necessary to write the sentence down. Once you've written down the sentence, double-check any relevant rules. 4. Watch out for words that sound strange. Spend a listening session looking out for words that sound differently from the way you say them. Check their pronunciation with online dictionaries. You may have been pronouncing it wrong, but it's also possible that the word is pronounced differently in British and American English, like the word schedule or advertisement. It's always a good idea to adapt your pronunciation to the people who are going to be listening to you. If you discover that you've been making pronunciation mistakes, practice saying a word correctly several times. Then, use the word in a full sentence. Do the same thing every day for a week, or until you're sure you have now learned the correct pronunciation. But please, don't worry about your non-native accent. While pronunciation is either correct or incorrect, accent is another thing. It's about who you are and where you come from. It's also not evaluated in English language exams like TEFL, IELTS, or Cambridge Beck. And that's because your accent is yours. Your accent doesn't make your English incorrect. 5. Focus on the speaker's intonation. Intonation is the way we pronounce certain words or groups of words. It's the little melody that makes speech different from the way robots speak. So pay attention to intonation and how the speaker manages to highlight important parts of their speech. While listening, pay attention to how certain words are stressed. For example, at 4 o'clock you should hear the word after stressed, and probably at 17:22. You will notice that the speaker pronounces those 2 words more strongly than the other words around them. Try to imitate that kind of intonation when you speak. Sometimes we do this naturally, because native speakers sound so good, don't they? Other times it may seem useful to simply pause the recording and try to imitate the speaker's intonation until you get it right. 6. Break down speeches into introduction, body, and conclusion. Listening to certain types of material can also help you give better business presentations. Generally, such presentations need to have a very well-organized structure so that the audience can easily follow you. So whenever you listen to other people's presentations, pay attention to the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Notice where each starts and where they end. To help you stay focused, write down 1 key word for each section. For example, if the speaker uses a joke from an advertisement in the introduction, just write down joke from ad. This is just meant to help you realize that most speeches need these 3 parts. If you pay attention to this when you listen, you'll be able to make your own speeches more structured. 7. Take note of connectors. Some speakers like using connectors when moving from one point to another. Connectors are words that speakers use to link other words or phrases. This way, the listeners will be able to tell when the speaker moves from one point to the next one. While listening, write down the connectors the speakers use. Later, include those connectors in your own speeches or presentations. 8. Be relaxed about hesitations whenever you listen to native speakers, notice how they manage hesitations. The truth is that hesitations are natural. Learners are sometimes afraid that if they hesitate too much, this will show their language weaknesses. But sometimes we hesitate because we are thinking about what we are going to say next, and this is only natural. 9. Write down what you like about the speaker. This next listening tip works well with a speech that you can also watch, not just listen to. Sometimes it's not what the speaker says, but the way they say it that makes you like them. This strategy is several steps past comprehension. It will get you listening for more advanced aspects of the English language, not just meaning. 10. Listen to a wide variety of speakers. Finally, listening to a lot of speakers will expose you to many different speaking styles. It also means you'll spend more time practicing listening, which is excellent. Maybe you like one speaker's pronunciation, but you don't like the structure. Or maybe you think someone's intonation is great, but they use too many fillers. There is no such thing as the perfect speaker, but the great thing is that you can learn a little bit from all of them.